What's up, guys? Welcome to Ball Talk. I'm Nick.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Will.
Today we're going to be talking about the 2017 NBA Draft. Just occurred on Thursday. We've had a couple days to take it all in, and we're just going to be discussing like winners, losers, biggest takeaway from the draft, and also, if any of these moves can really help anybody stop the Warriors at this point. So let's just go and jump right into it. Connor, who do you think were the big winners from the draft?
Biggest winner, I say, Sacramento Kings. After getting rid of DeMarcus Cousins, trading him for a few things, they had one of the best draft classes that any team's had in a while. I mean, because of this draft class was crazy. I mean, picking up Harry Giles and trading that pick for two other picks later in the draft, trading that 10th pick. They got Justin Jackson, Harry Giles, Frank Mason, and De'Aaron Fox. That's a crazy draft class to pick up and to put on your team with some other young guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hield. They're not going to do much this year, but in the future they may make playoffs, may do a little bit of damage.
I feel like they could do some damage.
I totally agree with that. The Kings have been straight booty for almost a decade now, a little bit over maybe.
Last time they were good was 2003 maybe.
Yeah,
Poor
so
DeMarcus Cousins.
all these picks could be definitely exciting for their fan base. So I definitely agree with that.
Will maybe give them some life because
Just a little bit because they certainly need it. I mean, God, I can't remember that I wanted to go on ESPN or TNT and see the Sacramento Kings on at prime time. So, Will, who do you think were the big winners of the draft?
I thought the Hornets were a pretty big winner, but I mean, there were a lot of good picks. Like Connor said, it was a crazy draft. So you really couldn't go wrong with any picks. I mean, shoot, the Lakers came away with a good one, of course. Drafting, Lonzo Ball, you get LeVar, which is not exactly a centerpiece, but I mean, it's gonna cause some drama, and any publicity is good publicity. So, but I mean, again, the Kings, the Hornets, the Lakers. The Sixers, a lot of wins, but also there were not losses as in bad picks, but just not as advantageous as they could have been.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a good segue into the losers. For me, I'd say one big loser. They might agree with it, they might not, but I think the Knicks were definitely a loser. Just in terms of the first round pick, I thought they could have gotten a steal really with Dennis Smith Jr. I really loved this guy. He's just like a freak athlete, 48-inch vertical, averaged 19 points a game, stunned Duke, which is a marquee program in college basketball, on their home court. Just an absolute phenomenal player. Somebody who I think can be really exciting in a big market like New York. And drafting the guy Frank Ntilikina, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's a little bit hard. But yeah, he seemed like a good player. I've seen some of his highlights, and he seems like he could be pretty good. But and he's more of maybe like a playmaker than Dennis Smith in terms of helping his teammates. But I just didn't really love the pick. I thought it was kind of based around the triangle offense, like Phil Jackson's been trying to implement, and it's so far his 4 years trying to implement that system, they've gotten worse since he's gotten there, in my opinion. And the only upside really is Kristaps Porzingis, and they've been open to listening to trade talks for him. So I don't know. I just didn't love the pick. I don't love where the Knicks are going with this pick.
Yeah, I say the Knicks lost for the draft, but the best thing that they did was not trade Porzingis. If they traded Porzingis, they would have been Porzingis. They would have been gone for the next 6 years. Never would have heard of them.
That's generous.
Yeah.
Another loss, I say, is the Suns. Not they did bad, but they didn't do as good as they could have. They were not a great team this year. Devin Booker dropped 70, but they still lost. Eric Bledsoe is coming off an ACL injury. He was not explosive as he was this year. Brandon Knight's still going downhill. Alex Lynn has not been what he was supposed to be, drafted a few years ago. So I feel like they probably could have traded some of those people like Alex Lynn and Dragon Bender, who was supposed to be a very good stretch four, didn't show how good he could have been this year. It's after 1 year. He can still show, but he just didn't this year. feel like they could have traded some of their role players to someone for more draft picks this year because any draft picks would have helped out, especially in this draft. I mean, Josh Jackson was a great pick. He's going to do really good with Devin Booker, both athletic. If Josh Jackson can start shooting a little bit better, that will be one of the best young wings in the whole entire NBA. I feel like if they would have gotten another maybe lottery pick, late first round, even early second round, that they could have done a lot better for their future.
Going into also with the big winners and losers, we didn't really get a chance to talk about the whole trade between the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That obviously seemed kind of obvious in terms of winners and losers. Let's talk about that trade a little bit. Who do you obviously it seems like the Timberwolves got more out of it, but did you like the trade? Did you not like the trade for say somebody like the Bulls, or what do you think about it?
I feel like the Bulls had to make that trade because they would have just wasted Jimmy's prime years on a team that was going nowhere, staying either just out of the playoffs or barely making the playoffs. You can't be in the middle. You got to be either really low or really high, and they just were not able to do that at all the past few years. So I feel like they had to make a trade, and they were just waiting these past few months for that right deal. And I think it wasn't that bad of a deal. They traded their 16th pick and Jimmy for the 7th pick, which turned out to be Lauri Markkanen, who I really love, can be a great floor spacer for them. And in this league, you need a floor spacer to be able to win. And they also got Zach LaVine, who's coming off an ACL injury, which is very hard to come back from, especially for athletic wings like him. But you have to have someone like that to kind of help out, space the floor, who can shoot and he can attack the rim at the same time. So defenders have to be able to make sure they can guard both shooting and his drive. But they also got Chris Dunn, who was a very good perimeter defender this season, but came into the league supposed to be Rookie of the Year, supposed to be one of the better point guards coming out, and he just did not prove that. But if he can this year, I mean, he can show the Bulls something. They're still not going to do anything this year, but if they can get something to show out of Chris Dunn, make sure Zach LaVine comes back slow, don't rush it. I mean, they can maybe get some people and trade them later on in a career, maybe make a playoff run. But for right now, full rebuild mode, try and get draft picks really high up, and make sure none of your people get too injured where no one wants them anymore. Derrick Rose.
What'd you think about it? Well,
well, I mean, like Connor said, the Bulls aren't going anywhere, but along with the other losses, I mean, you gotta kind of wonder at this point, what are the Nets thinking? Because God help them, they're hurting and they're not going to be good for a while, quite a while.
That Celtics trade definitely put them back by a few years. I mean, they're still suffering from it. Next year, I think the Celtics are going to have their pick again too. So
what is it? Is it their third pick?
I think they just wherever the Nets end up, the Celtics take that pick.
Definitely like top 5.
Oh yeah,
they're going to get a lottery pick out of that because the Nets are not going anywhere this year.
D'Angelo's not taking them past 50 wins. I'm sorry, but
bless him.
He might add a little ice to the veins of the fans.
Maybe
but,
a little bit of ice, but
that's all he can add, really. Maybe 20 points a game and a solid 17 wins or something. I have no idea.
35 shots a game, but
he'll be the GOAT there. But that's not saying much. Going back to that trade, I do agree with you in terms of the Bulls. They're not going anywhere, and I think the management clearly said that they weren't wanting to build around Jimmy, especially with that D Wade. The D Wade trade always kind of puzzled me. I don't know if it did with you too, but getting another 2-guard, D Wade seems like somebody who wouldn't want to. Even though he did with LeBron, I don't think he'd step down for Jimmy Butler. And it just always kind of confused me. I didn't love the moves they made while Jimmy was there. I feel like they had to make it. I'm not as high on Lauri Markkanen as you. I do like Zach LaVine, even though he's only got like 2 years on his contract left. I think the Bulls can help him stay, and I think he can be a good player, but not the best defender. Not even the best shooter, really. Just a freak athlete. We saw that from the dunk contest over the past 2 years. I mean,
nasty.
Those were legitness. Those were some great dunk contests he gave us. But other than that, I don't really see the Chicago doing having that much impact with this trade. The Timberwolves, though, they'll definitely be making a name for themselves in the West, I think, very soon with the Jimmy Butler trade. And Tom Thibodeau at the helm, I think they'll be very good. But moving on from that, let's see here.
Big takeaways.
Yeah, big takeaways. What do you think was the biggest takeaway from the draft?
Well, I mean, just because my favorite play style is kind of like in your face, smash mouth basketball, and I'll tell you what, watching the Sixers are gonna be fun. They might be boo boo, but watching the Sixers will be fun. I like the Timberwolves pick just because I like Jimmy Butler. He definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to defense and everything. So I mean, he might be able to put some clamps on somebody, but I mean, biggest takeaways are a heck of a draft class. So, and I mean, none of us really know what's going to happen yet, just because
there definitely isn't a lot of promise with the players, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And
definitely not like last year where it was just like Simmons, Ingram, and then the field. So
yeah, that's all I remember from last year. So
yeah, exactly. And we didn't even see Simmons. So
yeah,
he was gone the
whole time. That's right.
Brandon Ingram didn't even do too great either.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he did well at the second half of the season, but yeah, just overall not a great draft class in 2016.
What you thinking, Chief?
Well, my biggest takeaway, I'd say Sixers, mostly because if Markelle Fultz can do his job, score, take a little bit of pressure off Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, kind of get them equal touches, make sure none of them get hurt, keep them healthy, they can do some damage in the next few years, give old LeBron a challenge. Not now LeBron, but we're talking 4 or 5 years LeBron. They get a little bit more draft picks. They get some good wing. Robert Covington, he was close to leading the league in steals, but I mean, you got to have someone other than Robert Covington. He's great off the bench, but you can't have him and Nick Stauskas as your wing combo trying to beat teams. It's not the best thing. But they had a pretty good draft class. If their prospects can do what they're expected to do, they can actually have their franchise take off for the first time since Allen Iverson.
Very true. Definitely looking forward to seeing them. I mean, just the whole I've always liked Ben Simmons' game. Joel Embiid obviously showed, even though it was only 31 games, it was a small portion, but he showed that the process can be trusted. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And I've always liked Fultz. I thought Fultz was definitely the number one player. Even coming out of high school, when I saw his tape, I was like, this guy I'm surprised he's not talked about more. And I'm glad that he went first.
And Dario Saric, guy
he's
from
gonna be
2015 that they drafted with Joel Embiid, just came over from Europe. He
showed a lot of promise this year.
Yeah, he was really good. He's one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year, which will be announced soon. Him, Joel Embiid, and Malcolm Brogdon, a second-round pick from last year's draft, which no one expected anything from, and he ended up doing great things for the Bucks. But there's two Sixers for Rookie of the Year, but one of them only played 31 games, Joel Embiid, so it's kind of hard to say who's going to win that.
Pull a Tom Brady. Go ahead and throw him in.
Pull a Tom Brady, exactly. For me, I think the biggest takeaway is it's clear that nobody wants Kevin Love in a trade. I was expecting to see some kind of trade with Paul George involving maybe the Lakers or Kevin Love, and I think the Cavs would have been mixed in there somewhere. I don't know if you would have expected to see anything like that, but I certainly did. I think I expect to see another trade coming soon, but I get to see as much as I'd like to see, I guess I would say, with the trades coming in. I mean, Jimmy Butler was definitely exciting, but I thought I'd see something. I thought I'd see Indiana make a move with the Lakers or at least the Cavs or something like that.
And that can lead to Celtics not knowing what they're doing, not trying to pick up an all-star to finally beat LeBron and not make him go to another straight final. Because if any team can do it in the East right now, it's the Celtics. I mean, the Raptors are good, but they don't have what the coaching that the Celtics have. Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in the league, and he's still young too. If he gets the right talent around him, he will take them to the finals. They just need one more all-star. I think Gordon Hayward or Paul George would do that. And if I was the Celtics, I would have traded some picks and a role player to get Paul George. I don't know why they didn't make a move, but I guess Danny Ainge has something else planned. And hopefully
He's shown that patience is definitely working out, though, and I definitely, if I was a Celtics fan like you, I would definitely trust Danny Ainge and what he's doing. Let's talk about draft steals. Just a player in particular that we think may not have been talked about as much as, say, maybe like Alonzo Ball in this draft, or Markelle Fultz, or De'Aaron Fox. Who do you think will be that guy, that'll show out his first year or years to come?
I definitely think Malik Monk. I know the Hornets aren't everyone's talking about how great they did this draft, but that pre-draft trade, getting Dwight Howard for pretty much nothing, just a second-round pick, Bellinelli, and one of the 20 Plumlees, that was a great pickup for them. I mean, he's way out of his prime. Ever since the Lakers made him come back way too soon from that back injury in 2011, he has not been the same like he was in Orlando. But, I mean, he had his best year that he's had since that back injury last year with the Hawks.
He averaged 13 and 12.
He's
pretty good.
Which is what he's supposed to be doing. And I don't know why they traded him for a very old shooter and an average post scorer and a second round pick. But no, they did that. And picking up Malik Monk, that was a great pick for them. That can help out the team a lot. Give Kemba Walker someone to pass to. Nicholas Batum's still there. Still need a power forward. They're starting Marvin Williams right now. But Dwight Howard locking down the middle, that's a playoff team.
In the East, for sure, I think they can be a very big surprise coming out of there. Maybe like a 7-6 seed, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what about you? Who do you think was the biggest steal in the draft?
I personally like De'Aaron Fox just because of the fact that he's fast, and the whole stereotype of if you're small you can't be good, or if you can't shoot you can't be good. I mean, like, that stereotype is long gone. Isaiah Thomas is 5'8", and he made LeBron look like he was playing in the pony leagues. I mean, I like De'Aaron Fox just because the quicker you are, the better chance you're gonna have to overcome adversity and everything. But who knows? Maybe some off-brand guy that we don't even know his name might come out and again pull a Tom Brady and become the next big thing. So we don't know. Only time will tell. What about you?
I got two actually. Obviously, I think 20 with the Sacramento Kings. You talked about earlier, getting Harry Giles with the 20th pick. I think if they're willing to let him heal, which I think would be fine. I think they'll be patient with him, hopefully. But he was coming out of high school. He was the number one draft prospect in his class, over Markelle Fultz, over De'Aaron Fox, over Lonzo Ball. He was the number one guy. He tore his ACL, but before that, and even flashes at Duke, he showed that he's just a freak athlete, willing to fight down there, get rebounds. I just think he could be a really interesting athletic four in this league, and I think if they let him grow and let him recover fully, he can be a great player, great steal. Another one, a lot of people didn't really talk about him. I don't know why. Caleb Swanigan out of Purdue. I really liked him a lot. I saw him play a lot at Purdue, just catching games in and out. He's got, to me, from my eye test, he's got one of the most NBA-ready bodies coming out. He's 6'9", 250. He averaged 18 and 12 in college. He's got a year under him. He's a sophomore, so he's not as as young as some of these freshmen coming out. So he's got a little bit of experience, a little bit more experience than some of the guys, I'd say. Just averaging 18 and 12. He showed that he had a jump shot, at least from the games I saw, as well as the ability to post up and get rebounds whenever he needed to. I think it's a need that Portland. It was definitely a need that Portland had. Portland needed some height at the position and stuff like that. I think who was their starting power forward this year? Noah Vonleh.
Noah Vonleh he had a lot of time there.
Yeah, I didn't really see or hear much from him. So I think Caleb Swanigan, along with Zach Collins, could be a duo that I'd really love seeing at Portland. I think he could make an impact early. So that was another one I saw.
Yeah, that Portland trade sending their 15th and 20th pick to the Kings for the 10th pick, where they picked up Zach Collins with that.
Yeah, Portland.
Yeah, and they picked up their power forward with that, which they could have picked up, like the Kings did, Justin Jackson and Harry Giles. Which, if Harry Giles can stay healthy, that may be the biggest steal the past 10 years, because that he can be a great player if he stays healthy.
I guess we're gonna leave y'all with that. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. We really enjoyed talking about it. It's something that we like to do. Next up, we'll probably be getting into, the summertime and free agency. Exactly. We're talking about some players. Where will they go? Where will they stay? Players like Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Paul Millsap. Who are some of the other big guys? Kyle Lowry, Gordon Hayward, and maybe we'll see some trades too. So we hope that you enjoyed this video, and we hope you come around for the next one. See ya.